What up, Screen Fiends? I'm GB, and you're tuned in to Headz TV, where we like to discuss all the wonderful things appearing on your movie and your TV screens. In this episode, I'm going to give my review of Preacher, Season 2, Episode 1, titled On the Road. Now, as much as I love Season 1, this is the Preacher that we've all been waiting for. This weird, trippy road trip with these three insanely different and totally awesome characters in this zany world with this crazy, over-the-top, violent action. And this is what we all wanted in Preacher Season 1. Even though I enjoyed it, I am so happy that they're going down this road in Season 2. Alright, let's get into it. Oh man, such a good episode. Alright, so the synopsis for this one read, Jesse, Tulip, and Cassidy hit the road in search of God and are stalked by a killer cowboy from hell. Now I'm going to do a whole separate video about that killer cowboy. He is the saint of killers. We got brief glimpses of him in Season 1 where they kind of explain his backstory. In still kind of a coded way. If you're not really paying attention, you might have missed the fact that, you know, he was in hell that whole time of Season 1, and basically what hell is you just reliving, I guess, the worst day of your life, or the last days of your life, or something along those lines. But like I said, I'm going to do a whole video about the Saint of Killers, so I'm not going to touch on him too much in this episode, in this video, besides the awesomeness that he brought. That gun was like a cannon, dude. It was blowing off body parts. Things were exploding everywhere. Heads were just popping off. It was great. Now, a show like this, you don't really want to nitpick on like little silly things. But there were inconsistencies to the gun in the way it worked, where some people felt like they were just getting hit by kind of a regular bullet. And then there were other shots that looked like it was coming from a friggin' cannon. So, maybe they'll explain that throughout the course of the show. I doubt it. I think it's just one of those things where they're just having fun and they're just enjoying, the violence and the way that they get to portray it on screen. And, the comic feels very much like that at times as well. So, yeah, I really think that it still works. As much as it did take me out of the story to go, look at the size of the hole it put in the door of that car, and look at what it did to that guy's head. But then it hit this guy in the chest, and it doesn't look like a huge gaping hole. So, it did take me out a little bit, but it didn't really kill my enjoyment of the show whatsoever. But I like and dislike what they're doing with the cowboy in a way. I love how he's like this relentless force. He almost feels like Jason from Friday the 13th, right? He just keeps coming and coming and coming and just giving it and just taking everybody out, right? But I don't like how quickly he seems to be catching up to them. They're in a car. Granted, he's this angel of death, right? He's this force of nature. So he doesn't move like a normal person. But I don't know. I feel like they should be spreading out how quickly he catches up to them. But I guess they're trying to ramp up that part of the action, because I'm pretty sure this season we're going to get multiple villains. The Saint of Killers will not be the only villain this season. So I think they're going to give us him for a couple episodes, and then maybe back off a little bit so we get into some of the other interesting villains, and then sprinkle him in. That's where I think the cowboy works the best, is sprinkled in. So hopefully they don't throw him at us in every single episode. As awesome as he is, and as great as his kills are, and as horrific as his kills are, I really hope that they ease off on him a little bit and don't have him constantly showing up in every single episode. I think that's a bit much. Villains like the Saint of Killers are best used and most scary when they're used sporadically, You get it. All right. Let's get into this now. So Jesse, Tulip, and Cassidy. I love the dynamic of these three characters. It's just they play so well off of each other. The random things that Cassidy talks about, like, the Big Lebowski, the song on the radio, just he talks about all these random things. It reminds me of myself and kind of how I am when you hang out with me, and I'm not as all over the place as I seem sometimes. But, I will bring up, just a randomness of things sometimes. And Cassidy reminds me of myself in that respect. So I really enjoy him as a character. The whole thing with him hiding under the car with the shadows and just trying to stay out of the light. I love it. A lot of shows would either write a way to have the vampire be able to be in the sunlight, or, they would handle it lazily where he would be there and not catching into flames. But the way the show does it is it's just great how he just runs away from the sun. And it reminds you, not an in-your-face reminder, but it's a constant reminder of this guy's a vampire. You don't need to see him drinking blood or impaling people with his hand to get that from the show. And I think that's a total high point and benefit for the show in their writing and how they're able to, constantly remind us of these things without it feeling in your face. So Cassidy was fantastic, especially. Let's try and do this, one at a time, right? So so that was great, and then you like the way Jesse is like this cool, laid back kind of cowboy-esque type of character. He's a very Western-like character. The way he carries himself, even the way he kind of speaks to me is very Western. I mean, he is from Texas, right? But we get more mystery to his backstory in this first episode too, to where we know that there's more to learn about this character. There's a lot more to learn about Jesse Custer, and it gets pretty deep once we start to delve into things. I'm sure they're gonna change some stuff up, but they'll probably stick pretty closely to Jesse's backstory, and I'm really excited to see that because I'm sure it'll unfold slowly over time as it has so far. Season 1, we learned a little bit about his dad. And now I think we're going to learn a little bit about his life post his dad dying in this season. So that should be really, really fun. As well as learning more about Tulip and Cassidy, which I'm sure will happen also. And then we have Tulip, who's just so different from, the comic relief vampire in the back seat and the cool, calm, collected, 70s cinema-esque Western type of Jesse. You have this badass, smart-talking, just totally queen of the screen character. What I mean by that is she's this female character that just, not only is she badass, but she feels like a real woman. She feels like a real character. Even her badassness feels real. It doesn't feel forced. It feels like this character should be able to do these things. Where a lot of strong female characters fail at that. The combination of the writing, the directing, and then Ruth Negga's performance is just all synergy. And it's making for not only a badass female character, but a believable one at that. So I love that. And just like I said, the way those three actors play off of each other, it feels all so real and great. The sexual tension between all three is also great because, Jesse doesn't know that Tulip and Cassidy had sex. And Tulip really looks like she wants to get it on with Jesse really bad in this first episode. And Jesse the same. And I really enjoyed that scene where they're all sleeping together. And Cassidy's like, growing up in an Irish household, your parents are practically doing it on top of you. Sorry for the horrible Irish accent. But I just love that. I love that type of stuff. And, as awesome as the action is and as bloody and beautiful as the violence is, and I'll get to that in a second, it's the smaller moments, like the laying in the bed, the singing in the car. Those are the moments that are magic with the show. But you can also say the same about my next point. And the way the violence is presented on this show, it reminds me of the movie Kingsman, The Secret Service. It reminds me of that, how the violence is portrayed in a brutal and violent way, but also filmed in this beautiful way, where the colors are bright and vibrant, and the way it's happening there's such a beauty to the action of this show that is a testament to the showrunner and the directors of the episodes. Even last season, the action-heavy episodes, the choreography, everything about the action is just handled in such a tactful and beautifully filmed way that you, as a fan of film and art, I have no choice but to just be sucked in and my eyes set ablaze by all that beautiful imagery that Preacher does oh so well. As well as the dialogue, also awesome. The performances are great. This has been a really great year for TV so far. In terms of writing, cinematography, and acting, which are all great things to have. They're not everything. Okay, some of the great shows that we've had this year have had problems. They weren't all perfect. But as far as acting and writing and the way that everything is being filmed, I feel like TV has stepped it up in a huge way in 2017, at least so far. But we're halfway through the year, right? So really enjoyed this first episode. Can't wait to review the rest of the season. Can't wait to watch the rest of the season. It was hard for me to review this episode because I watched both of them, before I should have did a video after watching the first one before I watched the second one. But all my ideas are jumbled right now, and I don't want to really talk about episode 2 too much. So my apologies for that. As the episodes go, I should get a little bit more streamlined like I usually am with discussing the episodes. So, yep, really enjoyed it. Oh, and these first 2 episodes were directed by Evan Goldberg and Seth Rogen. And they directed the first 2 episodes of last season 2, which were like 2 of the best episodes of the season. So hopefully things don't teeter off once those 2 aren't directing, because that's what happened in season 1 a little bit. But I enjoyed season 1. I'm just saying that 1 and 2 were like amazing, and then things kind of fall off till we get more towards like 6, 7. So I'm really excited about this whole road trip thing, the search for God, the fact that God wasn't after the women. He was after the jazz music. I love that. That was amazing to me. And the fact that Cassidy shoots through the wall and hits that lady and kills her. Oh, man, just the way this whole episode was handled was fantastic. But I love how, God is a fan of jazz. Great. They're going to do some really, really great stuff this season with the whole religion aspects of it. And hopefully they don't piss off people like The Walking Dead did, and then AMC is forced to start changing things, because I still feel like that's what happened with The Walking Dead. So, let me not get into that. All right, sound off down below. Let me know what you thought about this first episode of Preacher on the Road, season 2. Let me know what you think about Preacher in general. Anything you want to talk about Preacher related, hit me up down below. I love to talk about this stuff, and I'm usually pretty good with getting back to my comments in a timely fashion. Sometimes life grabs me by the shirt and I don't get to it right away, but I'll get to you eventually, I promise. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe if you like the content. Helps out the channel, helps the channel grow, and helps me be able to pump out more content, and for me to know what's working, what isn't working, etc., etc. So without your feedback, it makes it a lot harder for me to do that. Thanks again for watching. Always, always appreciated. You guys have a fantastic day, and I will see you next time.